The Waters of March is a Brazilian song composed by Antônio Carlos Jobim. Jobim wrote both the English and Portuguese lyrics. The lyrics, originally written in Portuguese, do not tell a story, but rather present a series of images that form a collage. Nearly every line starts with a permil. In 2001, Águas de Março Section No was named as the all-time best Brazilian song in a poll of more than 200 Brazilian journalists, musicians and other artists conducted by Brazil's leading daily newspaper, Folha de S.Paulo. It was also voted by the Brazilian edition of Rolling Stone as the second greatest Brazilian song. The inspiration for Águas de Março Section No came from Rio de Janeiro's rainiest month. March is typically marked by sudden storms with heavy rains and strong winds that cause flooding in many places around the city. The lyrics and the music have a constant downward progression, much like the water torrent from those rains flowing in the gutters, which typically would carry sticks, stones, bits of glass, and almost everything and anything. The orchestration creates the illusion of the constant descending of notes, much like Shepard tones. Lyrics: in both the Portuguese and English versions of the lyrics, it is a stick, a stone, a sliver of glass, a scratch, a cliff, a knot in the wood, a fish, a pin, the end of the road, and many other things, although some specific references to Brazilian culture, flora and folklore were intentionally omitted from the English version, perhaps with the goal of providing a more universal perspective. All these details swirling around the central metaphor of the waters of March can give the impression of the passing of daily life and its continual, inevitable progression towards death, just as the rains of March mark the end of a Brazilian summer. Both sets of lyrics speak of the promise of life, perhaps allowing for other, more life-affirming interpretations, and the English contains the additional phrases "the joy in your heart" and "the promise of spring," a seasonal reference that would be more relevant to most of the English-speaking world. When writing the English lyrics, Jobim endeavored to avoid words with Latin roots, which resulted in the English version having more verses than the Portuguese. Nevertheless, the English version still contains some words from Latin origin, such as promise, dismay, plan, pain, mountain, distance and mule. Another way in which the English lyrics differ from the Portuguese is that the English version treats March from the perspective of an observer in the Northern Hemisphere. In this context, the waters are the waters of defrost in contrast to the rains referred to in the original Portuguese, marking the end of summer and the beginning of the colder season in the Southern Hemisphere. Composer-guitarist Oscar Castro Neves relates that Jobim told him that writing in this kind of stream of consciousness was his version of therapy and saved him thousands in psychoanalysis bills. Versions 1970s The first recording of this song appeared on an EP released in May 1972, named O Tom de Antônio Carlos Jobim e o Tal de Joe Pound o Bosco. This EP was released as a bonus included in the Brazilian periodical O Pasquim and was never reissued again. This type of vinyl record album was known as a disco do bolso. At the time, it was considered more of a novelty promotional item for the magazine rather than one of Jobim's seminal works. For that reason, existing copies of this recording are very rare. The second recording was on Elis Regina's album Elis, which was the first in a series of 3 consecutive self-titled solo albums by Regina. The third recording was on Jobim's 7th album, Jobim. Album was titled Matitapera in Brazil without additional English version of song. Joe Pound o Gilberto's recording from Joe Pound o Gilberto is known for its considerable deviation in rhythm and meter from the original. Italian singer Mina sings it as La Pioggia di Marzo on her album Frutta e Verdura. Orchestra arranged and conducted by Pino Presti. Georges Mastaki recorded his version of the song as Leo de Mars on the album Da Copyright Declaration. What many reviewers consider to be the definitive recording of the song is the duet sung by Jobim and Elis Regina on the album Elis and Tom Stanges and Joe Pound o Gilberto recorded a version on their joint album The Best of Two Worlds, with Portuguese lyrics sung by Gilberto and English lyrics sung by Mia Carr, Gilberto's wife at the time. ZA copywriter Gio Mendes and Brazil 77 recorded this song on the album Vintage 74. Jobim played guitar on this track. Art Garfunkel recorded the song on his solo album Breakaway. His recording is similar to the 1973 Jobim recording in inflection, rhythm, and evocation of the song. Jack Parnell recorded the song on his album Brasiliana. Mark Murphy recorded this song on the album Stolen Moments. Czar copywriter Gio Mendes and Brazil 88 recorded this song on the album Brazil 88. 1980s Jobim and Gal Costa recorded a live English version on the album, Rio Revisited. New Zealand jazz singer Malcolm McNeil recorded an English version in 1982 that was released on Malcolm McNeil. 1990s Susana McCorkle also released a bilingual version on her album From Bessie to Brazil. It was repeated in her album Most Requested Songs, Atlantique Leo de Mars. David Byrne and Marisa Monte recorded the song for the benefit compilation album Red Hot Plus Rio. Trio Esperança Seccional recorded a Portuguese version on Segundo. The New York City group Cibo Mato performed the song in Portuguese for their EP Super Relax. Monica Vasconcelos performed the song in Portuguese for her album Noir. Al Jarreau recorded this song on the album A Twist of Jobim. Smoke City recorded a version of this song entitled Aguas de Março Seccional for their album Flying Away. Israeli singers Jdigov and Mika Kani recorded a Hebrew version of the song titled Vehar Geshem Yevo on Leila Gov 2. Bezier recorded a version that was later included on the release of Clear Horizon, The Best of Bezier. Rosa Passos recorded the song in Portuguese on a special Tom Jobim. Lani Hall recorded the English lyrics version on her album Brasil Nativo. Paula West recorded a version on her album Restless. Kim Scanlon on Night Songs and Lullabies. 2000s John Pizzarelli recorded the song 3 times, first in a duet with Rosemary Clooney on her album Brazil, then on his album Bossa Nova, and then in a duet with his wife Jessica Mileski on her album Sitting in Limbo. This version combines the song with Joni Mitchell's Circle Game. Jazz singer Emily Claire Barlow performed an English version with partial Portuguese lyrics on her album Tribute. Jazz singer Jane Manhut recorded a version in English on her album Come Dream With Me. Cassandra Wilson recorded the English version on her album Belly of the Sun. Irish singers Damien Rice and Lisa Hannigan recorded a version in Portuguese for the movie Goldfish Memory. Oscar Castro Neves recorded an English version on his album Playful Heart. Richard Bob Green, of the Bobs, recorded a version on his solo album Low Bottom Me, with guest vocalist Angie Doctor. Bossa Cucanova recorded the English version on their album Yuma Baited a Different. Utah-based singer Melissa Pace Tanner included it on her release Am I Blue? Argentinian pop-rock artist Fito Páez recorded the song Live 112,002 from Rio de Janeiro. It was released on the live album Mi Vida con Elas. Lisa Ono released the song on the album Best 1997-2001 as a bonus track. It was recorded live at Bunkamura Orchard Hall, Tokyo, on December 8 and 10, 2001. 1. Spanish actress-singer Victoria Abril recorded this song on the album Pucheiros do Brasil. Ana Paula Lopes recorded this song on the album Mu. Tok 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 recorded the English version on their album I Wish. Acti on their CD Oiapoque XUI included 4 instrumental arrangements by Marco Antonio Guimara Pound is, 1, Tema e Varia Picavolt Pound OI. 2, Varia Picavolt Pound O2. 3, Varia Picavolt Pound O3. 4, Varia Picavolt Pound O4, Michelle Melot, 2, recorded the English version on Happy Madness. David Campbell released the song on the album The Swing Sessions. Filipina bossa nova singer City Navarro recorded her version of Waters of March on her album City Live. Another Filipina singer, Agot Isidro recorded her version featuring Mon David, from her first bossa nova album, The Island. Holly Cole recorded this song on the album Holly Cole. Natch Zuster, 3, recorded a Dutch version as Stort Boei in Maat. Brazilian singer Luciana Souza recorded the English version on her album The New Bossa Nova. Robert Lamb of the band Chicago recorded a version on a solo album The Bossa Project. American singer Ania Marina released the song on her album Slow and Steady Seduction, Phase 2. ZA copywriter Gio Mendes released Encanto, produced with will.i.am, with a version featuring Ledisi. The iTunes version of Encanto also contains a French version featuring Zap Mama. Cabaret singer Nancy Lamotte included this song in her album Ask Me Again, and performs it on her DVD, I'll Be Here With You. If I Made a Commercial for Trader Joe's uses a lyrically modified version of the song with guitar by Enrique Correa and piano by David Lyle. YouTube. 2010s Stacey Kent recorded a version in French on her album Raconte Moi, with lyrics from Georges Mastaki. The song was featured in episode 7 of the third season of the TV series, Lie to Me. French Beninese singer Mina Agossi included her jazz version of Waters of March on her album Just Like a Lady. Jamie Brozer and his daughter, Carmen, recorded a version for his CD I Want a Dog. Atom, Toshiyuki Yasuda, Fernanda Takai and Marino Veloso recorded a version for the Red Hot Organization compilation Red Hot Plus Rio 2, all proceeds from which go to AIDS/HIV research and education. Charlie Sheen and Catherine Winnick recorded Aguas de Março Section O for the film A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan 3. Brad Mahador's When It Rains on his album Largo is a reharmonization of Waters of March. Gloria has a scene with Aguas de Março Section O performed by Hugo Moriga and other musicians. Dieudonné copyright Mblemble adapts the lyrics which he interprets in duo with his wife No copyright My Montagne to describe a rising civil unrest in France. Jazztronic performed a cover for their album Vamos La Brasil. Natalie Dessay, Agnes Jaoui, Helena Noguera, and Liat Cohen perform Léo de Mars on the album, Rio Paris. In popular culture, the song was used by Coca-Cola for a jingle in the mid-1980s concurrent with the Coke Is It campaign, which ran until 1988. The duet between Jobim and Regina was used in the Return of Marco episode of the Adult Swim series Celeb 2021, which aired on December 12, 2004. In the Philippines, the song was used in the early 90s as the soundtrack for an advertising campaign for the newly developed Ayala Center. Waters of March was used for a 2008 British Gas advertisement in the UK and in Italy. See also, List of Bossa Nova standards. References, Notes. Further reading, Charles A. Perron wrote about the song in his doctoral dissertation, an abridged version of which was published in Brazil as Letras e Letras da MPB. He notes such sources for the song as the folkloric Samba de Matuto and a classic poem of pre-modernist Brazilian literature. External links, original handwritten score by Jobim, as performed by Elis Regina, as performed by Elis Regina and Jobim, radio show featuring many versions of this song.